This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
Well,
I'm SameToken. I make videos about video games, whether it's Halo lore or commentaries on upcoming game releases.
Yeah, he just jumped right into that, Will.
succinct.
He got you good.
Yeah, that was really succinct. That's the best one yet.
And what is today called, Will?
So it's Wild Card Wednesday or Conversations with the CHRILLCAST. It's like it's Sunday.
Yeah, basically the idea is that first time somebody comes on our podcast, the first Wednesday will be an interview, and then after that, if they come on again, which most of them aren't going to do. No, I'm just kidding. But most of the people that come on, if they come on again, we'll do a wild topic. So like if we get some of these people back on, we'll do something that's not an interview, but also be a wild card. Anyways, that's the segment. Today's the interview with SameToken. So, Will, why don't you get him that first question?
All right, question number one. Let's just jump right into it. What inspired you to create your YouTube channel, and why SameToken?
So that is a big question, and it probably requires like half a life story because YouTube's been a part of my life for a long time.
Yes.
So like, firstly, I've loved creating videos for as long as I can remember. So when I was like 9 or 10, I'd recreate episodes of Doctor Who with my friends and edit them in iMovie on my old iMac G4, which was an amazing computer, by the way. Inevitably, I caught, the YouTube bug way back, watching things like, you might have seen Inside Halo, which is like a Halo 3 machinima series, and it became Inside Gaming eventually.
Okay.
And there's still a channel out there with all of my embarrassing attempts at Halo 3 machinimas. Fortunately for me, they're all private. So I spent a long time actually using that channel to upload all the random video ideas I came up with. And each idea was influenced by my favorite channel at the time. So after Inside Gaming, I decided that actually I want to make montages. Now, this was something all teenagers my age wanted to do. And it didn't last long because, one, my gameplay was rubbish, and two, my editing was rubbish. So shortly after... Sorry?
The two things that you actually need.
The two things you need for a montage to work, yeah. And I used the worst music. You probably heard, YouTube audio library stuff. And it wasn't even YouTube audio library. It was like that free... I can't remember. There's like one song everyone used to use, and I used that song, and it was awful. On every video, by the way, on every single one of them, that was the same song. Anyway, so shortly after that stint, I saw Markiplier, and that must have been back in like 2013 when I saw his Stanley Parable series. And from then on, I proclaimed that I would become a Let's Play YouTuber. And this was probably around the time that everyone else on YouTube was doing the same. So I decided to start a new channel, which I called Token for its connotations with classic arcades. And that whole year, so 2013 to 2014, I experimented with the Let's Play format. And as it turns out, being spontaneously funny and or interesting for a solid 20 minutes an episode is really hard. People like Markiplier, the Rad Brad, the guys on the Game Grumps, they had it down to a science. And at the time, I was trying to emulate them, which just wasn't working out. I was judging my videos as to whether or how close they got to their videos, rather than judging whether my videos were actually good videos. So once I realized this, I changed my Let's Play format to something I was happy with, something that was more me. And looking back, they were awful, but they were becoming a little watchable. And honestly, if those videos took off, I probably would have kept creating them because they were so much fun. But alas, they didn't. So I still had the YouTube bug. So I decided again to try something else. And it was around this time that I saw a couple of Halo followers videos talking about the upcoming Halo 5, which was still over a year away at that point. It immediately reminded me of that excitement I felt when I was watching videos like Inside Halo and when I was trying to make my Halo machinimas. But this time, I was a little older and my voice was down a few pitches. So I wanted to be part of all of that excitement. So I shot Halo Follower a message on YouTube asking if he needed a hand, back when you still could do that. to my surprise, he responded. So at the time, I think he must have had about 180,000 subscribers. So to me, with my channel of 89 subscribers, this was massive. So over a game of Halo Wars, we discussed what I could do on his channel. Now, I was in my final year of school, and I wanted to study television at college, and so I was keen on sticking mainly to like editing and audio, doing the levels and all that kind of stuff. But he insisted that I also write and voice my videos as well. And honestly, like, I'm so glad I did. This was early 2014, and it immediately exposed me to the Halo YouTube community, as well as hundreds of thousands of subscribers to access. And it was there that I really developed my style. I had tens of thousands of people telling me what they liked, and mostly what they didn't like me doing. And you know, my ego was bruised constantly, but it was really helpful. You know, it was a good learning process. So I tried creating news style videos and lore style videos, and over that time, my ability to voice the videos improved, but I still, you know, had a really long way to go. After gaining a bit of recognition with the channel's subscribers, I set up my own channel to try my hand at Let's Plays again, while I continued creating Halo videos. Now, I was calling myself Token at that point, but I was quickly realizing that people couldn't seem to find my channel. You know, I had access to like this channel, which now I think around that point probably had 250,000 subscribers, and here's my channel, which had about 100 still. So I thought, you know, I must have terrible SEO. Just Token, when you type that in, doesn't really come up with any of my content. So it was actually my dad who came up with adding same to the start. And it's a play on the phrase "by the same token." I really like it as a brand name, and it works out because I'm terrible for saying "however" about a trillion times in every video I make, just to balance the discussion, which of course the name "Same Token" I guess implies. And I did this making Halo videos until late 2015, when I eventually did go to college to study television. Now, at that point, I'd been slowly stepping away from creating any kind of, you know, YouTube videos. It was a time when I was really uncertain about what I wanted to do. And at the start of 2016, I basically stopped. I even switched career path, going to university to study marketing, which, you know, I still feel was definitely the right thing to do for me. Now, despite all that, the YouTube bug never left me. I always planned on doing something with my Same Token channel. I actually worked on Halo Recapped throughout my 4 years at university. Every time I got the itch to upload something, I'd just, you know, work a little bit on that video. But I also had a part-time job at the time, and then at my studies. So I'd always get pulled away, and I'd forget about it for a couple of months. Even though I realized I basically, come 2019, I realized I was getting close to actually finishing the thing. But despite that, I had been like voicing it since must have been the start of 2017. So it had already pretty much been finished by the start of 2017. And you know, knowing I could have released it that whole time is always being a bit frustrating. But if I'm honest, my return to YouTube was just so I could get that video out there. I didn't plan on creating anything else. I just thought I've been working on this for 4 years, and I want someone to see it, even if it gets 0 views. I don't care. I've worked on it enough, and then I'll just be done with it. And you'll probably know how this feels. The minute that you hit the upload button, you're already thinking, what am I going to do next?
And that video we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but clearly more than a few people watched it.
Yes.
Yeah, that actually, weirdly, I didn't even think that that would be the one to find success. I thought that people would watch it, but honestly, it was the is Master Chief too old video that got the initial success. And so I was like, damn, Halo Recap, that was not the way to go.
That's funny. Well, that was a lot more information.
Yeah, very detailed.
Getting to your name that I was not expecting. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's actually one of the better reasons for the name. Like, most people was like, I don't know, I just put some random things together.
I tested the SEO, I did this, I did that.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Just like this is how it got here, and it's like that was good. I like that.
God, yeah. Sorry, I said it would be my life story.
There you go. We'll chop that bit up. SameToken's life story. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
So how would you describe your relationship with YouTube, and more importantly, social media at this point, since you kind of gave us the YouTube backstory?
Yeah, is that just like in general, or is this with me creating stuff on it?
I guess both. However you want to take that.
I suppose in general, I probably have an awful relationship with social media. Like I don't think there's a time in the day where I'm not on, like, lurking on social media. That's what I'm really bad for. I am a Reddit lurker, and when I watch YouTube nonstop, like other people's YouTubes all the time. And while I'm watching YouTube, I'm always scrolling through Reddit. I mean, I don't know if you are the same.
I used to be. Reddit's not been too kind to me over the years.
Yeah, Chris got banned a couple times, so now he can't go back on.
Oh, really?
Well, I would share our stuff. I'd share other people's stuff, and eventually people like caught on to the fact that I was sharing some of the same creator stuff over and over again, and they got mad. And instead of like giving me a lashing and a come back in a couple days, they were like permaban, see ya. It's like, really?
My gosh.
Yeah, and then Chris proceeded to piss off the moderator. So.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's. I think I've always been scared of posting stuff on Reddit for that reason, because a similar thing happened to a friend of mine. He has a YouTube channel called Joe Vevers. Really funny stuff. I do recommend you check it out. It's a bit weird, but he, together we created for very briefly a Let's Play channel, and we did like a video on, I think it was a Doctor Who game of some sort, and he thought, you know, it'd be a great idea. Why don't I just post this to the Doctor Who subreddit and they'll love it, right? Wrong. They hated it. We got 1 like, 50 views, and 40 dislikes. And I was just like, wow, I'm never ever posting on Reddit again. So I've always just lurked there. In fact, I do have a bit of social media posting fear after that. So like on Twitter, I need to step up my Twitter game, because if going to the question of like what I do on social media, I'm just so scared of posting the wrong thing on Twitter, I think. And I think what I need to do is just get over that and be more willing to post things.
Yeah. Seems like it works for some of your fellow creators. Like I know Hidden Xperia gets tons of traction on Twitter.
He does, yeah, he does it really, really well.
Just I like to stay out of politics. I even posted about that on our Twitter, that I'm not doing politics on our Twitter.
Oh gosh, no, I would never. Yeah.
That's my only piece of advice.
Yes, yeah.
I don't have much other than that.
Yeah.
But I have a similar
story. You're gonna alienate someone. Oh yeah, share their story. I know where you're going with this.
Well, you can tell it. I always tell the story.
All right. So essentially, we thought we were hot shit. And we're gonna make a sequel to the Back to the Future movies. So a 4th movie, and we had a whole video on explaining how it would work, and we thought it was pretty cool. We posted it on the Back to the Future Reddit. That was a huge mistake. They were pissed.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
I had no idea that fandom was so strong, but they do not want a sequel apparently, and we were blasphemous for ever suggesting it.
Oh man, that's weird. I wouldn't have, because I know some communities love fan fiction.
Nope. Not that one.
Not that. Back to the Future is as it is.
Yeah, it wasn't even like the backlash wasn't like this is a bad idea. It's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they feel personally insulted basically for the mere suggestion. Oh dear, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
They didn't even like try to plot. Like one guy actually took it upon himself to watch the video, and he's like, okay. So I'm just going to tell you right here, here are some of your plot loopholes in what you guys described. Here's this, here's that. Go to this particular website. You can find all this information. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy really broke it down. And he's like, just so you know, I'm like one of your 3 likes on the video.
Do you know, I like, I have to say, they don't have to go through that effort, but the best kind of criticism to receive on a YouTube comment is one where they've actually watched the video and it's fair, and like they give you sources and reasoning, and you're welcome to like reject that reasoning and sources, but at least they've done that rather than pick up something which doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
Or just go off the title and just respond to that, and they don't actually watch the video.
Yeah, Arash has that problem. Yeah. He has lots of people Look at his title, leave a comment, and leave.
But I've had that on. I think is Master Chief too old, because it's a question. I get a lot of people coming on and responding to the question, is Master Chief too old?
He was in cryosleep the whole time. Shut up.
Yes, yeah. And so I kind of take it as that in that particular situation. I suppose that's on me for like it's almost like at the very start. I suppose I used to take things, especially when I first started on Halo Follower, I took things very personally as like personal attacks. But now I've kind of realized that, people are going to be as people are all the time. So it's not personal, certainly. So I don't know, it's good that I'm always happy when people are watching the video. The only thing that makes me feel sad is when they've actively disliked the whole video. That's where I feel like maybe I could have done something better.
Well, at least your ratio on this video is really good. 100K to 2K. Like, that's 98 or over 98%, almost 99% likes to dislikes.
Yeah, I'm so glad as well, because and I think there's a question on this later, but there were a couple of errors in it, which I accept. And so I was aware of the errors after it passed like 1,000 views, and I was wow, 1,000 views. I'm not gonna take this off. It'll never get more than this.
Yep.
Whoops. What was it? Skyrion said the same thing. He had his Portal video had like almost 500,000 views, and he's like, I have a couple mistakes in here, and they're all just in pronunciations, and people will not let it go.
Yeah, of course people won't let it go. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I've got one is I hate myself for it, because I hate it. Right, what's the worst way you could possibly pronounce? I'm gonna have to say it. Nuclear. Right, the other pronunciation. Nuclear is how I pronounced it on pretty much every video I've made, and then I've been informed many times that that's actually the incorrect way of saying it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, why don't you ask him that next question?
All right, so why the focus on Halo? I know you talked about inside Halo, and then what do you love about the series? Because clearly you're a fan. At least I'm assuming you're a fan.
Yes, yeah, big fan. I guess my love for Halo started probably right back at Halo Combat Evolved, because I watched my dad play it when it was released in 2001, and while I was very young, I did know it was something special, like just seeing the pretty colors. And I'd seen him play Nintendo 64 games and PS1 games, and we didn't have a PS2 yet. So there was like this monumental leap between GoldenEye, which was his favorite game, to Halo, which was his new favorite game. And I remember clearly him struggling to complete them all. And I think he was on Legendary, because my dad said, what's the point in playing on anything lower than the highest difficulty, was his kind of mentality of every game.
Yeah.
So he would go into every game at the highest difficulty, even if it took him like a month to complete. So I just remember him absolutely failing, getting to them all. And basically just before, and I didn't know at the time, but just before the final cutscene, he gave up. I think it must have been on the Warthog run. And he never completed the game ever. But Halo has... That's number one, basically. Halo holds sentimental value for me, and I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. Other than that, it's the only game series in which I've actually enjoyed the extended media, so like the books and such. So that's made me more invested in Halo lore than, say, Titanfall lore, which is interesting, because it has codex entries and that particular universe. But once you've become so invested in one universe, pulling yourself into any other universe is always going to be a little bit hard. And ultimately, it's got to be the replayability of every game for me. I mean, while I enjoy playing matchmaking, especially when the game is fresh and new, I'm not a very good player. It's why I like Halo for its unusual game types and its big team battle, and why after the campaign, I love custom games, kicking back on forged maps and custom game modes with friends. I don't think could ever not be fun. It's always there. And as long as I can physically run the classic Halos, I'll always have the ability to play it with my friends.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I like. I love everything you just said. It's like the replayability of the campaigns, the social games versus the competitive games. That's what I also love about Halo. COD is too sweaty for me.
Yes. Yeah, I loved Call of Duty 4, and the
I
last
did
one I
too.
bought was Modern Warfare 3. And that run was just, especially Modern Warfare 2, I think, just because my friends played it. That was really fun at the time, but it's never a game that, other than like maybe just revisiting the campaign, it's never a game that I've been like, I just want to go back and play that. Whereas Halo, I always do.
And the other thing is the enemies, like the way they squad up and the AI and how well it fits together. I don't feel like any of my playthroughs of the Halo series has ever been identical to one another.
Yes, I completely agree. I think that's something Bungie have done really well since Marathon. They make really interesting AI.
Mm-hmm.
And they work together in such a way, like if you sneak up on a grunt and then the next time you try to get the elite, the whole combat loop changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Assault on the Control Room. I know that's one of the people's least favorite levels in the original Halo, but I like going through and trying to sneak through and kill everything while they're sleeping and try to stealth kill the elites. You can get through most of the game without firing, or most of that level without firing a single bullet. It's pretty awesome.
I've never tried that, but do you know that's interesting though, because that's the rarity of Halo and the few games that are like Halo is that you don't just play the challenges they give you. You make up the challenges. You know, the community makes up the challenges. And I think any game which provides you with a sandbox, which you actually want to challenge yourself, has succeeded. You know, I think that's why Minecraft did so well.
Yeah.
It's just the replayability goes up rather than you get a lot of games which are not replayable at all, and they're okay as single packages, but they can never be quite as special as a game like Halo.
Yeah, and I don't think any shooter since Halo has been able to capture that same feeling.
I certainly have it. I think
No.
The feeling that like Halo 3 and to an extent Halo Reach gave was like, it's really hard to top that with anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
and that's not saying I didn't like some first-person shooters since then. Like I really like Titanfall 2,
Oh,
and
that
I've
was
replayed it a
good.
couple times, but it still doesn't have that special place in my heart. So
No, I mean it did. I have to say the campaign got close to that.
yeah,
that
well, that
feeling.
time travel level was awesome.
That changed everything for me.
I know. Well, it's like, why don't I have this game? Why is this not a full game?
I'm getting Will, I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting some chills here. You're actually jumping in and taking over the podcast today a little bit.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
So the next question is, what is your favorite Halo game? I think I know the answer, but I'll let you jump in on that. And then what's your least favorite?
Yeah, I mean, saying definitively my favorite Halo game is very tricky, as I think for any Halo fan to name a specific Halo game, because I think that would probably depend on the week. You know, I mean, the most recent game that I've played in depth was Halo 3, because I played it for my Halo 3 retrospective, and the minute I put it in, because I had to play it on my original Xbox 360 to get certain footage to illustrate the difference between the Master Chief Collection and the original, and you know, when I put it in the disk drive, I felt like I was back in 2008 when I used to play it every single day, because it was my old Xbox, my old controller, and an Halo 3 ODST controller, and it all just sends you right back. That's not to say games like, you know, Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Reach, ODST, or even Halo 4 aren't great games. I think part of it was just me playing Halo 3 at an age where I must have been defining my tastes in everything, and like movies and video games, and everything from that time for me was quite special. It was when I was a teenager, I guess. And as soon as I started playing it, I think I must have decided that this is my taste in video games. This is what every game that comes after Halo 3 is going to be compared to. And my least favorite, which I again, as a Halo fan, is hard to say, but the one I didn't enjoy playing as much was Halo 5, and I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. And I haven't honestly made my mind up as to exactly why. I think there's a lot of reasons like very small reasons that just add up, that just don't make it feel quite right. I mean, I felt there was so much promise for the plot line, but the actual execution didn't match my expectations from what a Halo game is. And that's something that I'm hoping can maybe be remedied in Infinite.
Yeah, me too.
I think
If it
that
ever comes
return to
out.
the classic art style was a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's that's always hard for me because I'm like I think from a business standpoint, it's very hard for them as well because they've almost, and you've probably seen interviews when they were doing the design methodology of Halo 4, where 343 were kind of talking about how they wanted to really change Halo and shift it away from what it was. And they hired a lot of people who weren't necessarily Halo fans to really try and make Halo their own thing. And now they're kind of going back. And as a Halo 3 fan, I prefer the new art style. But I'm always kind of
It's
like,
just cleaner though, like it's simpler.
it feels simpler, and I think sometimes less is more, as they say.
Yes.
Leaves more
I
to
do
the
like how they're kind
imagination.
of hybridizing it though. So there are some of the elements that they came up with still in that game, which is really neat.
Yes, yeah, that there are. Yeah, you're completely right, and I think that's probably the way to do it. It's kind of like, we've got two camps: people who love Bungie games and people who love 343, and let's just kind of mix them together as the easiest option. And I really hope everyone else likes it. I mean, I love the new art style, but I'm hoping it doesn't put too many people off, because I know a lot of people who actually exclusively like the Halo 4 style. Initially, I thought everyone preferred the Halo 3 style, but I was completely wrong. I was completely off base. So no, the Halo 4 art style is really quite popular. So I'm hoping that fans of that art style also like the new art style. I hope they're not like alienated.
I'm a simple man. I just like Halo.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, doesn't matter what the art style is. I'm gonna play it. It's Halo.
Basically, that's where I'm at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely take your sentiment about Halo 5 to heart, because I felt the same way for a very long time. But recently I made the choice consciously to replay Halo 5 without all of my bias going in. And it is actually a really great game on its own. I'm very surprised at how much I enjoyed it all these years later. And that's kind of why we wanted to talk about it on another segment. So
Sure.
Yeah, same with Halo 5. Like it's a good first-person shooter. It didn't feel right when I've played it several times now, and it's still just it's fine. It's not great. I really like the multiplayer though. Like it's one of my favorites. Even with the enhanced movements, still one of my favorites. Which I think that might be in the minority.
It's actually a fun game. I think like I said, it's the expectation management, which I think is everything when it comes to these things. If it maybe wasn't sold as a Halo game where people were coming in expecting a certain game, then it could have been far more popular, less people, if it was its own style.
If it was a spin-off,
it would be different.
like ODST, it would have been fine.
Halo 4 Blue Team or something, right?
Yeah.
I think it was because people didn't like what they did to established characters, but if these were all new characters, it's not actually a bad plot line. If you go really deep into the lore, there are some things where you're like, oh, I wish they handled Osiris differently or Blue Team differently, and I wish they handled the fight between Chief and Locke differently. But I suppose you could say that if you take away, I suppose, a lot of the lore and the expectations, and you say, well, this is actually how Chief or how this person in a spacesuit matches up with this other person in a spacesuit, then you're probably thinking, oh yeah, that's an interesting fight, plot wise. But it's like I said, as a Halo game, it's not my favorite. But I know that you said that you recently revisited it. I revisit it every so often to record footage, and honestly, having to, with no theater mode, having to use the blind skull to like race through the maps to try and get the footage you need can be tedious, but it does actually look quite good.
And then the other thing I thought, like you're saying, is making it a spin-off. Like, what would you think if they had just removed the Master Chief from it and used a random rogue AI instead of Cortana, and then had it be a spin-off game?
They could have even had Master Chief in it and just be Halo Guardians, and I think it would have gotten a lot less hate.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting idea. It's hard to say how that would turn out. I mean, I'm always cautious about saying it's my least favorite because I don't really. There's never been a point, even when it was released, where I felt completely let down. I know a lot of people did, so I'm not super unhappy with it. It's just I would have maybe preferred something else. So maybe doing that would have been what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like Halo Reach is so different, but the thing is, I love that game. It's one of my favorites, and I think it's partly because I went into it realizing it was a spin-off. And so, like, anything they changed, it didn't bother me. Like the weapons bloom, the weird DMR, the assault rifle, basically everything. Not playing as Master Chief. It was fine because I knew it was a spinoff. And I think that going into Halo 5, if it had been a spinoff, the enhanced movement wouldn't have been a problem. The fact that it was mostly Locke's game, not Master Chief's game, would have been a problem. And I don't know. Basically all the issues that people have with it, I think would have been put aside, at least for most people.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually something that I'd love to cover in a video at some point in the future, like what to kind of define how I and other people feel about Halo 5, because like I said, I can't put my finger on exactly what it is.
I feel the same way. Like, again, I can't point to one thing in the campaign that's like, this is not Halo, because Halo always changes, so it's hard to actually say what is Halo.
No, exactly.
You could do a video called "Why is Halo 5 so divisive?" and then have all the creators weigh in.
Yes, yeah, that would be the easier way to do it. I mean, it's like the problem I would have is, like, sometimes with these videos you almost have to take a side sometimes.
And no, you're the narrator. You just have everybody else take a side.
Well, this is why. Exactly, this is why. I mean, I can't take a side, and I would always struggle to take a side with, like, the art style debate. There's a lot that I like about Halo 4 and Halo 5's art style, so I physically cannot take a side on that issue. Equally, I struggle to take a side on Halo 5, but I find the points on each side quite interesting. I've just not encountered as many people who have said that they love Halo 5, and I'd really like to talk with people who love Halo 5 and people who hate Halo 5, and maybe balance the argument a little bit and figure out, what it is.
Yeah, actually, I like Halo 5 more than Halo 4. So
that's interesting. Yeah,
I enjoyed the campaign more in Halo 4, but the amount that I've enjoyed the multiplayer in Halo 5 far outweighs how much I enjoyed the campaign in Halo 4. So
yeah. See,
I initially liked 4 better than 5, but I never played the multiplayer on either of those games. I just played the campaigns. So, like, I don't have any multiplayer bias whatsoever.
Yeah, we need to play, Chris. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You want to get back to the interview, though?
Yeah, we should. We really dove off the side here. I'm sorry. Anytime you get into a Halo, what's the best, what's the worst?
I'm way too opinionated.
I know, it's so hard. And like I said, it's so scary to put, because like I said, it changes every week. There have been one week where I've been like, Halo 5 is a great game.
I've never been
No, not many people have, but there have been 1 or 2 times where I've been like, I'm actually really enjoying myself.
Yeah, I mean, I like going through the campaign. I was fine with it. I was disappointed with the story because I was built up from the Hunted Truth thing, and
exactly. That's it. But it's expectation management, isn't it? That's what they did. That's maybe the issue, isn't just the game itself.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, so I think I'm question 5,
go
right?
ahead.
All right, so your Halo recap video has exploded in popularity. Anything you would change in that video? And also, what are some of your favorite comments or interactions?
I think the first thing I'd change is I'd include Halo 3 ODST.
Oh, whoops.
Like I said, Halo Recapped was made over the course of 4 years, and in that time, I must have pruned it from an hour long to what it is now, which is, I don't know, 35 minutes or something. An ODST section was created, but it was eventually deleted at the editing stage because I kind of just wanted to distill it down to just the absolute essentials of understanding the Halo universe. But in the end, I ended up leaving loads of details that were interesting but not pertinent. So with that in mind, I could have just included Halo 3 ODST. So that's the biggest that's the biggest thing missing from it, and I tried to make up for that with my animated, like 1 minute long or whatever it is, animated ODST summary, essentially, that I released, I think, a couple of months ago. There were also various small details I got wrong, so you'd assume since I spent 4 years on it, I'd be able to fix all the issues in the script. But the reality is, when you're reading or listening to something enough, you tend to like miss out on all of those details, and it just becomes a blur. At that point, you're just listening to the voice and you're cutting in what looks good.
So it's like a psychosis thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of just I was just editing to what made the video seem as like it flows as much as possible. So any sources I misinterpreted just became less and less obvious as I spent longer and longer working on the video. And over the past year of creating videos under SameToken, because this was the video that started the channel up again, I've learned a great deal. So generally, anytime I look at Halo Recapped, there's a million things I do differently now. So one of them is double checking sources and redrafting more often. As my following's growing, I feel a greater sense of, getting things as correct as I reasonably can. But there always has to be a point where you say, right, I'm finished. That's perhaps the hardest thing to do, because it can make or break a video, especially one as large as that.
I can definitely understand that. I've actually seen some bigger YouTubers that actually pulled up this video and had like reaction videos. I guess I was kind of, when I drafted up this series of questions, I was curious if you'd watched any of those.
No, I haven't actually. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
I know of one. I think it was oh, it's terrible. I think it was primarily, I think she's a Twitch streamer. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, this girl.
Yeah. She actually asked for permission to use the video, I remember, and I was more than happy. Because when she asked, it wasn't as big as it is now anyway.
Yeah, I saw this video. I was like, really? Somebody's reacting to a Halo video?
Yeah, I found that quite interesting. I'm honestly flattered she would use my vision of the Halo universe.
I think that's the only one that I really saw. Oh, wait, is this? Nope, that's not it. I was going to say, I thought there was one more, but I have yet to find it again ever since I originally stumbled upon it. But I remember seeing hers, and I was like, that's really cool. But any comments that stuck out to you on that?
Oh, gosh. I mean, pretty much the primary comment would be, where's Halo 3 ODST? And so I think I covered that. There's a lot of comments just here and there, which are just mainly about little corrections and things like that. And there's some really, really nice comments as well.
I like forgive you for forgetting ODST.
Covenant sees a giant ring. We can make a religion out of this. Humans, no, don't. Yeah, there's some good. I scrolled through this once or twice because there's always like when these videos blow up, there's always like great comments from people that are fans of the series, and then there's other ones, we'll call them.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot. I mean, it changes from being I suppose just my video, and it kind of becomes, when a video gets big enough, it becomes the community's video. So it's not really just my thing anymore. It's everyone's thing, and I quite like that. I think I'm flattered that my video is part of one of those types of videos where people who are just wanting to discuss the new news on Halo, for instance, will go there and comment about the new news. And I can't take credit for any of that kind of thing. So
yeah, it's definitely an evergreen video at this point. You know that term, right? You know what that means?
Evergreen, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually you went completely silent. I was like, oh.
No.
He just doesn't agree with you, that's all.
What do you think your most underrated video is so far since you started the channel?
I want to say my video about the Project Orion. It's quite recent. So it's about the Spartan 1s, which didn't quite get the traction other similar lore videos received. And I tried a lot of different titles and a lot of different thumbnails, and none of them really hit the mark. So I just assume it's not something other people are interested in. But I thought it was a fascinating subject. And there's so little information about the Orion project that I had to hunt in some really strange places. So I've got pretty much all of the Halo media that I need, physical media. But I had to listen through a lot of I Love Bees stuff, the alternate reality game that was created to market Halo 2. And that was all really interesting stuff. And apparently 343 are accepting all of that as canon. So I kind of just made a video out of a lot of the really obscure facts about the Spartan 1 project. But that didn't quite gain the traction that I suppose I thought people like would want to see. A video I'm hoping people will watch as well is the Halo 3 retrospective I made. So that included some of the great voices of the Halo YouTube community. So Hidden Xperia, Installation 00, Late Night Gaming, just to name a few. And it was also the first time that I managed to get some of my audience involved in a video. And in this case, it was a game night that I recorded. And I couldn't have done it without the assistance of all of these people, so many of them from the Halo community, which I think is quite fitting for a video about Halo 3. So that's a really special project to me. I feel that's the most community-driven project I've been a part of. And like I said, it's my favorite Halo game currently.
Yeah, today.
And this video is doing pretty well. It's got more. Anytime you get more views than you have subscribers, you know you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good metric. I think like it's there's always the fear when you post a video because you're never quite sure. You think that people might want to see this topic, but you're never 100% sure. So it could just crash.
I know Chris wants to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can have the community tab, and that way we can just ask, what do you want to see?
Yeah, we're sick of guessing. Just tell us.
Great. It's really good. Without the community tab, I couldn't have gotten all the people together I needed for this video, because we did a fantastic game night, 2 game nights in fact. Something that I'm planning on hopefully doing again, and I think people have been asking for, because it was great fun. It was just basically the perfect space to get a full lobby of players playing classic Halo 3 custom games. And so on the video that you're looking at now, it's right near the end that I start playing all of the community footage, and it's over all the YouTubers talking, and all of that was that stuff. Some of it was multiplayer, but most of it was people just playing together on Halo. I think we had Jenga, which is one of my favorites, the monster trucks, which is amazing fun, and all of the infection game types were just.
The Beast is so much fun. You ever play that one?
I did. I didn't have it in this video, but it's just all of the. There's actually people's file shares that you can still access, which have all of the classic game types. So how I managed to get hold of them. And I just think like that, having some kind of server browser for that would have been amazing.
100%. I think I've still got one of the duck ones where you like have all the ducks up in the window in one place, and the guy at the bottom's got the sniper rifle.
Yeah, duck hunts are so fun. We did some of that. We did, I think, maybe 2. They're very difficult to record, and they don't look as fun as they are to play. So I didn't use much of it, but that was good fun.
I wanted to talk about the Orion thing. So the Orion video, I love that video. I as soon as you posted that up, I was like literally on the verge of trying to figure out more about Sergeant Johnson when you posted that. So it was like the perfect timing for me anyway.
I'm so glad. It is an interesting topic, but it is I realize now it's a very niche interest, I think, into the Halo lore.
Well, I think my only comment on that is I think you might have hit the SEO wrong with that title.
Well, yeah, I don't really know. I tried a lot of different titles. I wasn't sure about the thumbnail either.
The thumbnail's great. I don't think that's an issue.
Initially, I think it was literally just the Spartan Ones was the title, and that didn't work. So I tried the Spartan Ones in bracket Project Orion, and then I put Project Orion at the forefront, and then when I did that, it started going up a bit faster. So I was like, what else can I say?
Did you try putting Sergeant Johnson in the title at all?
I didn't, but I that comes down, and I could, and I know that would probably get a bit more traction, but I always try my best to manage expectations when it comes to coming in the video. So I experienced that when I made a bit of a faux pas in my latest video, and I said Halo 3 belongs on PC, because I was like, that'll get people coming in. But actually, the video doesn't say that. So instead, I changed it to Halo 4 thrives on PC. And then, because initially, when I did that, it was up for 10 minutes, and I got 5 dislikes immediately. And I was like, no, that's wrong. That is wrong. So I kind of like, I've realized that sometimes it's better to, for the goodwill of the audience, to manage the expectations rather than just trying to bring them on.
I just meant, like, I think this video could do really well. You just might take a long time just because.
I'll maybe try and switch it up again when I come up with a better idea.
Yeah, put sex and cats in the title. And
and then just completely change the thumbnail. That'll get
golden.
Just put the word Cortana in the title and have a picture of Cortana there, just for Will. Just for Will.
Yes.
Sorry. And the cat could be Catherine. No, just kidding.
No, yeah.
Never mind. Sorry.
Some fan fiction going on. No. All right. So, what's the next question? Oh yeah, is there anything that you are excited or worried about for Halo Infinite?
Well, loads of things to be excited about, I have to say. I honestly can't wait to get my hands on it. But there's an equal number of things that I'm being cautious about. So first, I have to say, the gameplay in the demo looked like great fun. It's one of those situations where, I just wanted to grab the controller and start playing. When they went one direction, I was like, no, I want to go over there and explore. However, ironically, I always worry about open world games. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they can feel vast and diverse, like with Grand Theft Auto 5 and Skyrim, both arguably, obviously. But other times they can feel empty and a little claustrophobic, which is how I felt with Mass Effect Andromeda. It just feels a little bit, almost, there's so much space, but it just feels lifeless, and it feels like you are confined in a game map, not in this vibrant alien world. Okay. The great thing with Halo generally being linear is that it can take you to so many places. Although the sandbox is confined, the world around it, combined with the story, can make it feel like an epic and expansive journey. Another example of this is Mass Effect 2. Its maps are quite small, but it still feels like a huge game. Perhaps it's down to the diversity of locations and missions, maybe coupled with some great pacing. I don't know. But having said all that, we haven't seen enough of how the game's going to handle its sandbox to make a proper judgment. So with that in mind, I'm pretty optimistic. What I am being also cautious, and a bit more cautious, honestly, about is the live nature of Halo Infinite. Mm-hmm. So being like a game as a service. After the demo was released, I saw a few articles, I think some by like GameSpot and IGN, basically saying that Halo Infinite was set out with the same vision as Destiny, as the first Destiny, in that it would be the final big Halo title for the next decade. Campaigns will perhaps be delivered as DLC, and there's even talk of updating the graphics as they go. Now, this could be great. There's no reason why their take on the live service couldn't be a template for how live games should be done in the future. It could be the best live game we've seen. Mm-hmm. But we have to get more information and demonstration to get a more nuanced overview of what they're intending to do with this. And then there's the free-to-play multiplayer with its microtransactions. On the one hand, this is fantastic for keeping Halo player numbers high. If done right, it has the potential for making Halo a really popular game. Mm-hmm. If it is based on the blueprints of like Halo's classics, the matchmaking, custom games, and Forge, then I think there's an opportunity for expanding the community. And honestly, I'm all for that. I used to play Team Fortress 2 before it went free to play. And when I found out it would be free, I was a little concerned. But honestly, some of my favorite moments were from after it became free. And I don't still play it today, so I don't know what it's like after that. But in the year after it became free, I had a great time. And so ultimately, I don't have any issue with a properly implemented microtransaction system. I think as a consumer, it's a balance of, do I feel as though I'm getting a good deal? And are my expectations, like we've said, are they met? In the end, I always prefer a single transaction for a product. I like the idea that everything in the game is unlockable without me having to spend any extra money, even if I have no intention of unlocking that. But it doesn't mean to say that I can't be happy with a freemium game, or that a freemium game is necessarily a bad deal. Quite the opposite, honestly. Sometimes you can get hundreds of thousands, or hundreds to thousands, probably more realistically, of hours from a game that you spent no money on. Also, with Team Fortress 2, I don't remember hats being a thing before microtransactions. So when they were added, it was something additional. I didn't feel as though I should already have had them because we never had them before. That's maybe where things get a bit iffy with Halo Infinite. There's been talk of them locking out color selection with armor shaders, which is something players have, color selection is something players have grown used to as a bare minimum. But I haven't actually commented on that at all because I want to see what their plans are before I make up my mind. I know a lot of people aren't happy, but we don't have any demonstrations of it yet. On the whole, I'm not going to form too much of an opinion on why, the internal issues as well. I've heard there's been some leadership changes, and I don't think I'd really. I know some people have been concerned about that, but I wouldn't want to comment on that just yet, because loads of businesses who do really phenomenal work have internal changes. It's just that 343 Industries are under the microscope from players who are obviously really excited for a new Halo game. Yeah, it can spell trouble sometimes, but like here, it's sometimes impossible to say exactly what it means until something concrete turns up. That concrete evidence could be the finished game and whether it performs well and it's a good game. But even then, I'd be cautious about commenting either way on the internal issues. I always remember reading about, you do lots of business case studies at universities, and honestly, it's always far more complex than first meets the eye. There's so many moving parts in the games industry. So with that in mind, I'm very optimistic about Halo Infinite.
Now, very positive outlook.
I don't personally. I'm not about appearance and customization, but I know a lot of people are. For the most part, I stick to the default thing, except on Halo 3, where I did actually customize my character quite a bit. But that was the one I probably spent the most on the multiplayer on. I think the thing that has always bothered me about, and you can chime in if you agree or disagree, I think when you try to take advantage of people by having short duration sales or short duration limited edition equipment in a digital game, that's when I think you've hit the point of, too much anti-consumer behavior. Because I think that in Halo, all of these things should always be available to purchase. Now, you can bury it in the store. You can make it harder to find and get the more up-to-date featured things at the front of the store to sell to people and make it more hyped up. And, this season we're bringing this stuff in. But for Halo fans, people who love the game, who love the gameplay and love the multiplayer are going to buy stuff anyways to support the game they love and to get their own customization. So taking things out of Halo would really bother me if they at some point said this is a limited duration.
You like the
thing.
MCC type where they have the seasons, but you can always go back and the previous season.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think I can see what they're trying to do if they make things limited. Generally, it's like scarcity will increase the value of certain things, but it's scarcity in products like the Disney Vault, for instance, is always a bit more, people don't mind as much when it comes to physical products, but when it's digital, you can see that it is virtual and it's artificial. It feels artificial. So we'll have to see, I guess, how artificial it feels, and that'll change how people feel about it. Like I said, I'm always for everything just being, I will spend £70 if I need to, and I'll have everything. But I understand that's not realistic anymore. So I think I'm kind of just relinquished to the fact that it's kind of going in this direction. So I'm hoping that they manage it in a way that that feels good for players. Weirdly enough.
Let me rephrase that. Digital goods should not be time limited to force consumers to buy them.
Yeah, well, that's like, gosh, it's going to a lot of retailers.
Nintendo. Anyways, it's a Mario collection comment. Sorry. So what are your goals with YouTube going forward with your channel? Now that you have an audience, you've built it up, you've got your Halo recapped video that you go back and occasionally cringe at and also think about how you could have improved it and have fun with the comment section. What are some of your goals going forward?
I think, I suppose my main goal is to release more often, more videos. I'd like to release a video every 2 weeks for the next year. That's my goal to reach.
Well, as a fan, I'm excited for that goal.
Thank you. Well, I hope that the quality can be maintained. That's kind of my aim. I mean, I'll eventually try and get that down to a video every week. So I've experimented with creating the opinion piece, which was my latest video, which is on right now. Halo 4 can thrive on PC, and that didn't take very long, and it was very fun to make. And so that's the kind of video which I'm hoping I'll be able to do more often, while at the same time I can still create my larger videos, in the background. And so my main concern, obviously, with opinion pieces is they can be pretty polarizing. And probably my issue is I like to take as balanced a view as I can. So what'll happen is I'll start writing my opinion, and I'll be like, do I feel that way? And then I'll go explore that, and I'll explore the other side. And so that obviously takes longer. I was hoping to get that opinion piece out, and basically my whole Halo 4 kind of thrive on PC video was me just saying this is amazing, and I was like, wait, I need to be a bit more balanced than that. So I went back and I redid it, and that took an extra 2 days from what I wanted it to take just from the rewrites. So I'm hoping I can get faster at doing that. Basically, that's the kind of content I want to do, as balanced as possible, but I'm wanting to speed up as much as I can so I can eventually get to my target, which is a video a week. Now I have some rough projections of where I'd like the channel to be stats wise, but YouTube is just so volatile, especially when it comes to content like this. But, like I said before, I've got the YouTube bug, and the knowledge that I've been figuring out what I want to do on YouTube for the last 7 years kind of helps drive me forward. This is the content I definitely want to be doing. It's essentially just how often I post. That's my main metric that I have to get to.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I definitely am looking forward to the idea of SameToken video every week.
I know. I really hope you get that goal sooner rather than later, because I will definitely enjoy that.
Well, it's like we will make one less video a week if... No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's just being less precious with certain videos, like knowing where the bigger videos are where I need to put the editing pressure on. Sometimes I will be playing around with a clip which is like 5 seconds long, and I'll spend 3 hours trying to get that right. And I'm not exaggerating. It's pretty bad. Sometimes I'll be like, what am I doing? I'm just gonna leave it. It's fine.
I get it though, because like I don't edit videos very often, but the one time I did recently was for our Halo Infinite Road Old Town Road parody. That it's done pretty well so far for the size of our channel. Congrats. But I spent way too much time editing clips together for that.
Yeah. Well, the original format of this podcast was essentially we would film like 3 hours, and then Chris would go back through and pick out like what he liked, and that was awful.
I'd spend hours chopping it down. It was nuts.
Yes, yeah, that kind of thing, especially spontaneous stuff, just takes forever. I don't know how YouTube channels like PewDiePie can output at the rate that they did, even before he started getting editors in. Mm-hmm. Like that rate is just nonstop. That's really, really impressive.
Yeah. Inhuman.
Speaking of other creators, Will's got a great question for you.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite content creators here on the YouTubers?
Oh yeah. So I think I've said a few already. There's all the channels and creators that initially inspired me. So like Markiplier, Dead Pixel, I think Adam Kovic, I think is his name, on Inside Halo. I still love watching all the stuff that they're doing today. I think Adam Kovic maybe works for Rooster Teeth now. I think they have it Inside Gaming. Yeah. And then there's all the other Halo YouTubers, which I'm always checking out. Installation 00, I love his stuff. Late night gaming, love his. I've been watching him since before I started back on YouTube again. Hidden Xperia, and now I'm just back. I'm just I'm friendly with them all, obviously, but I love their stuff. And nowadays, other than like Halo YouTube, I'm absolutely addicted to In a Nutshell. So you might have heard of CHRILLCAST. Their animations, and they make like animated mini documentaries on what if we detonated all the nuclear bombs at once. And they have a really scientific approach, and by scientific I mean more like well-versed, well-researched approach to creating videos. And that's what I want to reach. I'm never going to be like an animation channel like that, but I really respect the amount of care and attention to detail and the number of sources that and they're very transparent about those sources. I love that, and I think that's kind of the level that I try to achieve when I'm creating videos. Try to, get opinions from as many sources, be as accurate as you can, while also condensing it, summarizing it, and being entertaining. That's like, these guys for me are at the top of that kind of game. And then there's one last channel, I suppose, Lazy Game Reviews, LGR.
Yes! You're the first person to bring him up.
Through university, when I was studying for exams, I would watch all of his videos in my breaks. And I must have seen every single one by now. And it was actually his retrospective videos that inspired me to make my Halo retrospectives, and inspired me to keep going with those, because I just love his format. His content's fantastic, and he's definitely someone, if I can ever get there, I'd love to talk with him just about old video games and antiquated technology at some point in the future. That would be,
if we get him on the podcast, we'll bring you back.
Yeah, if you get him on the podcast,
just for that,
I'm coming. I don't even need an invite. I'm just coming, barging my way.
2 a.m, I'm there, guys. No.
And of course, I love what you guys are doing here on the CHRILLCAST. CHRILLCAST.
Oh no, he said it wrong.
I have it written down here. It's CHRILLCAST to remind myself, because I'm.
No, it's krill, like the shrimp.
I to realize why it's that name, but as soon as it clicked, I was like, wow, that's good. Honestly, I wish you guys the best with your channel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So wait, did you say Shrillcast on purpose as funny, or did you say it because you thought it was Shrillcast?
We're gonna go with the first one.
Yeah, it's pronounced Krillcast, like the krill, like the whales eat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I got that with the logo.
Yep. Anyway, sorry. This is my favorite Lazy Game review video ever. He got it to
It's so cool. He managed to get the formats. Is just like the getting cables to where I don't know how hard it was for him, but I've been doing a video on retro games recently, which has been taking a lifetime to make, and sorting out formats between old technology and new technology is hell.
Yeah, if you ever want to have a long and lengthy conversation about converting video and audio signals to work on older or newer technology, I am definitely another guy you could talk to about, because I've spent loads of time figuring out how to get a GameCube component signal to be captured by my Elgato HD capture card. So I know what I'm talking about at this point. Anyways, this was my favorite. He inspired me so much, so I'm glad you brought him up. He's so cool.
Yeah, he is. He seems like a really great guy as well. I think like his just something about his format.
Yeah,
great audience as well. Really good community.
Very relaxed.
And he seems to really respect his community as well, and that's something I strive towards.
Absolutely. So is there anything that we have missed, or that you would like to discuss, or anything that you would like to ask us? Any questions?
Gosh, I think I've given you my life story already. I wouldn't want to take
very
any more
first
of your
question.
time.
No, I meant like I guess if you don't have anything to ask us, we can end it right here.
Yeah, I think that's fine, unless you guys have any other questions.
I think you answered our questions really thoroughly, and some of the answers are really great, actually, because you know, one, you actually have a story behind your name, which is unique and nice. And then you also said that you listen to other Halo YouTubers. There's been so many times when people will say, "Oh, I don't like listening to the content creators that have similar content because they don't want to be accidentally inspired or what have you." And it's nice that you essentially watch the same stuff I do.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. I think it's always good, yeah, to see what other people are doing. Because I think taking inspiration's okay.
I think what you do, it's okay to take inspiration from other YouTubers, because doing a compilation retrospective type video almost is like not motivated, but almost would require something like that for you to get the full story from all perspectives you can find on the internet. And so you're in like the unique position where that's actually beneficial and complementary versus like some other channels that would both make a 10-minute video on a news related item and have the same exact, you know, trot out the same words and the same ideas, whereas yours is not that.
I suppose news is a hard one. Yeah, because news is always, if you look at someone else, then you're going to be like, I've had that idea. I've watched it now. I've already incepted the idea now. I can't not write it. So I suppose I can see why you would avoid falling into that trap. I think, speaking of community perceptions and like retrospectives, I think that's probably when I'm going to talk about Halo 5. A Halo 5 retrospective will probably be the perfect chance. And I'll maybe see if I can get you guys to weigh in.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks.
If you're willing, because I think you guys had some really interesting perspectives on it. And I think that's, I mean, today, I haven't thought about it much actually, but I think that it's important because I kind of rambled on at first saying it's my least favorite Halo game, but then saying actually it's not so bad. So I don't think my mind is made up. So I think that'll really help if you're willing.
Yeah,
Sure.
we're down for that.
Definitely.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I guess we'll end this interview with Mr. SameToken. Now that he's told us his entire life story, we can put it on the internet for archival purposes forever.
Yes.
So as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm SameToken, and thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on.
And we will see you
On the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.